All right, hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about, is it actually possible to change our fundamental image of ourselves? So to actually get to a place where we no longer look at ourselves and judge ourselves and criticize ourselves for the things that we have historically judged and criticized ourselves for. Or are we just going to get really good at loving ourselves and being kind to ourselves and catching those negative thoughts and working with them and learning how to be nice to ourselves anyways, right? Is it possible to actually get to a place where you start to like who you are? Like you genuinely, just naturally don't have to work on it, don't have to put in effort, can literally get to a place where you like who you are without putting in effort? Or are we always going to have to be practicing liking these parts of ourselves that we automatically judge and we automatically assume are wrong and bad? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Because I know that a lot of us get on this path of self-love and we start to really get good at witnessing our low self-esteem thoughts and witnessing the places where we blame, shame, and guilt ourselves, and seeing those patterns and seeing those things as they come up. And we get good at working on it, but at some point we kind of get to a place of like, I don't want to have to work on this for the rest of my life. I don't want to have to be struggling against my self-hate for the rest of my life. I want to get to a place where I actually just naturally feel comfortable in my own skin and feel comfortable being who I am, and am not dealing with this constant, I shouldn't be like this, or I need to change myself, or okay, I see it, I understand, I have compassion for myself, it's okay, I can be myself. Like not having to work on it, but that you can just actually like yourself. And I get it, because that makes perfect sense, right? Like I don't think any of us want to spend the rest of our lives having to work on our self-esteem. I don't think any of us want to spend the rest of our lives believing that we just have the imprinting we have from childhood and the beliefs we have about ourselves and the beliefs we have about the world, and that's just what they are, and they will just be what they are for the rest of our lives, and there's nothing we can do to change it. I don't think anyone wants to believe that, and I don't think anyone wants to live with that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And the main thing, that if it's a TLDW, too long didn't watch, the answer is yes. We can absolutely change those fundamental programs we got in our childhoods that tell us that we're not good enough, that tell us that we're not, that these aspects of our personalities are wrong and bad, or that we need to be people pleasers, or that we need to, all of these things that we got in childhood as a way of protecting ourselves and keeping ourselves safe. We absolutely can get to a place where we have fundamentally shifted this stuff. And it just takes time. Okay? So how to learn to be neutral towards myself. It is a practice, and it is like building any other muscle. The more we practice it, the better we become at it, and the more natural it becomes. Okay? So the too long didn't read, too long didn't watch answer is yes, but it takes time and repetition. That's basically what I'm going to say in this video. Yes, it is possible, but it takes real time, and it takes real dedication and repetition over and over and over and over and over again. This is why my mystery school is 5 years long, okay? Because there is no quick fix for shifting our fundamental views of ourselves. And now I'm gonna, explain the whole thing, because I think a lot of the time we really need to hear this stuff over and over and over and over and over again, so that we don't get lost in the paradigm of just I just need to try harder, or there's some thing I must be missing, or some secret key that I'm not looking at, because this just isn't reality. Okay? The mystery school is 5 years because learning to unpack what happened to us in our childhoods, learning to even become aware of that stuff, learning to see where our patterns came from, where our patterns of self-hate came from, learning to see where our conditioning came from, learning to have compassion for ourselves, that we just didn't get our needs met. And the ways that we are now behaving, the ways that we are now living, are all us trying to get our needs met in the best way we know how based on what we went through. This is hard. For most of us, even just getting there takes a while, because we are so used to seeing ourselves as being the problem. We are so used to that childhood coping mechanism that says, if I fix myself, if I can blame myself, if I can figure out if I can figure out what I did wrong and what I need to do to fix myself so that everything in my life will be perfect. We are so used to that paradigm, and we are so used to that perspective that most of us don't even see it as a paradigm or a perspective, right? We don't recognize it as something we could even question. It's just reality to us. Okay? And so when we're working from that starting place, that we are really that far away from what real reality is, and that's the automatic rut that's worn in the brain, that's what we believe to be true, and again, we don't even recognize that it's a belief. That's what we see as reality. That is our perception. There's usually a pretty long way to go before we can get to a new perception being the fundamental perception. We are starting with false perception is not even something that I perceive to be a perception. False perception is, to me, reality. It is just what reality is. This is why I called my company the Perception Trainers. Because how we perceive reality, becoming aware that we are perceiving reality, that it is not necessarily that we are seeing reality clearly, but that we have a perception of reality that might be wrong, is like a year of work for most people. This is why I really enjoy doing one-on-one coaching, because I can see in the one-on-one coaching work is that a lot of the time, getting to a point where you can start to see your own perceptions and question them for yourself, by yourself, is incredibly difficult to do. The one-on-one coaching that I do is all about having someone outside of yourself be like, hey, okay, I see that to you, this is reality. I see that to you, this is just unquestioned, this is what this is. So now I'm working within this framework, and I'm trying to take steps, and I'm trying to solve problems within this being reality. And I go, okay, but what if that's not reality? And then people are like, pfft. Right? I never considered that before. Right? The whole, okay, Aaliyah, my canoe is filling up with water, and I keep building up the sides. And so maybe I need a different material. Maybe I need to build it faster. Maybe I need it to be thicker. maybe I need to reinforce the bottom stuff. And I go, sure, but what if there's a hole in the bottom of the boat? And they go, what? Right? Like, I never even considered that that might be a thing. I couldn't even get to a point where questioning the paradigm that I needed to build up the sides wasn't the only paradigm. It's hard. Training our perceptions is hard. Questioning our perceptions is hard. So this is why shifting our perception of ourselves is so hard. Because for most of us, our perception of ourself and our assumptions that we have about how we're supposed to be and what is right and what is wrong and what is good and what is bad does not appear to us to be a perception that could even be challenged. It just seems and feels like reality. Okay, was just talking about this with my BFF tonight. We said it seems like just about all of the self-incriminating questions we ask ourselves boil down to one question: what's wrong with me? Exactly. Okay? And that is the main paradigm that I am trying to combat with all of my work. That is the paradigm I am trying to dismantle with my entire company, with the mystery school, with every free video I put out, with every blog, with every coaching session. The idea that there is something wrong with you. That is the fundamental flaw. That is the fundamental perception that we keep building up the sides of the canoe, and we are not seeing the hole in the bottom of the canoe. We can't do anything from what's wrong with me, because the bottom line fundamental truth is there is nothing wrong with you. You are responding to what you have been through. You are responding to the experiences that you have had and the education you've had about those experiences. You are responding in the best way you know how to what happened to you and to the resources you had available to you. You are responding based on your childhood coping, your childhood way of processing the world. You are responding to having that childhood view of the world be your very first thing that told you what reality was, that we build our whole fundamental view of self and the world around, that might be wrong. You are responding. You are responding to not having your needs met, to being hurt in ways that you don't even know hurt you because it was normal reality to you. You are responding to environments in your adulthood that you have been taught you just need to tolerate and are the way things are, that hurt and don't work. You are responding to your environment, okay? You are the plant whose leaves have turned yellow. No one looks at a plant who has yellow leaves and says, what's wrong with the plant? It's growing wrong. We have become aware and awake enough to be able to go, what's wrong with the plant's environment? What's wrong with the soil? What's wrong with the amount of light it's getting? What's wrong with the nutrient balance? What's wrong with the watering? That is the fundamental way we need to view ourselves, right? So every time I take on a new client, this is like literally what we work on for the first 6 months of coaching for most of us, is everyone comes to me every week and they're like, this is the thing that's wrong with me. This is my bad habit. This is my thing that I can't stop doing. This is what's wrong with me. How do I fix it? And I've been trying to fix it. And I've been doing all of the jumping through all of the spiritual hoops and trying to forgive my caregivers and rise above it and just willpower my way into doing different things. And I keep failing. And I keep coming back to, okay, yeah. Because the way that you're doing things now, the reason that you're doing what you're doing now is because fundamentally deep down inside of your body and your core, you learned on some level, this is the way I get my needs met. This is how I keep myself safe. This is what I have to do and what I have to be to protect myself. To be liked, to be loved, to be worthy of love and provision. Right? You learn on a fundamental level that being loved by your caregivers was the only way to get your needs met. And most of us did not have healthy caregivers. We didn't grow up in an environment where we had a secure attachment, where we could be ourselves, where we could express, where we could process our emotions, where we could go through being what we were and doing what we needed to do. And we got the support we needed, no matter what. Okay, I don't understand the difference between wishing and needing. In the beginning, it doesn't matter. We need to validate, especially in the beginning, when we're just getting into this work, that we wish we had the things we wanted. That's part of it. Learning how to figure out what you want and what you need. Learning how to figure out how you're going to be okay in life. How you're going to problem solve. Because this, right, again, the things we're doing right now are our adaptive strategies for getting our needs met the best way we know how within the conditions we grew up in. And a big part of what it means to grow out of that, to heal, to change, to get to a place where we feel fundamentally different, is to start to take ourselves out of that what's wrong with me paradigm, right? Into the what do I need paradigm. What am I feeling? What's happening around me that does not feel good? Why doesn't it feel good? What do I want or what do I need? What am I getting that I don't want and that I don't need? What hurts about the normal I've been raised in? What are the things that really call to me and light me up? What are the things that I'm doing that I feel like I have to do or that I need to do to be approved of that I don't want to do and that don't feel good to me? What are the relationship patterns that I have been taught? This is just how we relate, but it feels terrible to me. These are the things. So again, kind of long story short, a big part of what it takes to shift our self-esteem and this is, I think, why this takes so long, is learning to then understand what we want and what we need. What works for us and what does not. What feels good and what does not. What about normal isn't functional? What about not normal is functional? Then, starting to actually live that out in our own lives. That's the big scary thing. starting to embrace and validate our wants and our needs so much that we actually start living them out in our reality. We start to get our needs met in new ways. We start to say no where we've never said no before. We move out of our family dynamics. We start to relate in different ways. We start to work in different ways. We start to eat in different ways. We start to live in ways that work for us, that were never taught to us, or even that were told to us was wrong and bad and not allowed. And we start to live an actual, authentic life. And we figure out through experience, this is the hard part, that we can do these things, that we can be rejected, that people can misunderstand us, that we can be judged, that we can go to that forbidden place and do those forbidden things and see with our own eyes and experience in our own bodies that nothing bad happens, or that we still survived, right? Or even if the worst thing happens, people don't like us, we get rejected, people tell us we're bad, we can be okay. That's usually when our self-perception and our self-esteem starts to shift on its own, because we've lived it. We actually start to live our adult lives. And we see that mirage of the childhood fantasy that if I'm rejected, I'm going to die. We see through it because we walk through it. We live the reality that that's not true. We prove it to ourselves. And then all of a sudden, we're not fighting against being our real selves to keep ourselves safe, because that right there is why the brain holds on to our self-rejection. Okay? We are going to hate ourselves and reject ourselves so long as we deeply believe that that's what we have to do to stay safe. Until we have proven to ourselves through lived experience that we can be ourselves and be okay, that voice that says, no, you can't do that, you can't be like that, there's something wrong with you, will always be there. Okay, so maybe these just local standards to fit in, or I want to stop contrasting wishes of soul. Yes, for a lot of us, again, the actual antidote to self-esteem is not positive thought. The antidote to a negative self-esteem is proving to yourself that you can be yourself and be okay. Because self-hate is a protective mechanism. It's there to keep us staying in alignment with our conditioning of what we have been taught we need to do and need to be in order to be loved by other people. When we still deeply believe in our bodies that we must be loved by other people to be safe. When we can prove to ourselves through experience that we can be rejected, we can be judged, we can do what is right for us and other people cannot like it, and we can still be okay, then we don't need that self-protective mechanism anymore. And our view of ourselves is going to change. Do you see what I'm saying? The fundamental root has to be rooted out. The root of poor self-esteem is I am hating, rejecting, suppressing, denying, trying to get rid of, trying to be all these parts of myself that are true to me or are not true to me, because I believe that is what I have to do to be safe. And to be safe, I must be loved and accepted and approved of by others. That's why we hate ourselves. That's why that is there. So unless and until we can prove to ourselves that that is not true, that we can be safe, we can get our needs met, we can be okay by being ourselves, being rejected, being misunderstood, that self-protective mechanism of self-hate will always be there. Okay, so true. It's hard because we project those unmet needs onto the people after not getting them from our parents. Living our authentic life can resurface that fear of rejection and activate that inner wound. But I love what you say about living it out and taking baby steps to repattern this. It sounds like our new reality becomes self-reinforcing. We create our own evidence of our worth by becoming our own safe place. I've never thought about this in the self-love way before. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Exactly. We become our own safe place. So how can I live myself in any case? I can find a path to love again. Yes, but it takes practice. Right? So it all comes back to the first step is always that recognizing where we are in shame, blame, guilt, what is wrong with me. That is always going to be the first step. Right? Because so long as we're in that paradigm, we are out of alignment with reality. We are staying stuck in the childhood view of things that says, if I am in pain, the reason I am in pain is because I did something wrong. I am not good enough. I do not live up to standard. What is wrong with me? That I am being rejected or not loved? And what do I need to fix about myself so that I will be loved? Because being loved equals other people seeing me and then meeting my needs and taking my pain away. Now again, remember, this is complex and this is nuanced, right? We are not meant to be islands unto ourselves who never want or never need love or acceptance or validation or support or just connection with other people ever again. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that we need to get to a place where we are no longer willing to sacrifice ourselves for that. Because again, in adult reality, other people loving you is not how you get your needs met. It just isn't. Other people loving you is not the way to emotionally self-soothe or emotionally soothe. Other people loving you is not how you get food anymore. Other people loving you is not how you keep a roof over your head. Now that you're an adult, you figuring out what you want and what you need. Okay, the main thing. Other people loving you is no longer, if mommy loves me, she will figure out what I want and what I need. She will figure out that my diaper is full. She will figure out that I'm hungry. She will figure out that I'm having a tantrum for this or that reason. And she will fix it. That's what's supposed to happen in childhood. That is what is supposed to happen in childhood. Mommy loves me. I'm having a reaction. I don't understand. You fix it for me by understanding me. In adult reality, we need to figure out, I'm hungry. I don't feel safe because I need this and I'm not getting it. In adult reality, we need to be able to say, oh, the thing that's bothering me in this relationship is how you're treating me. We need to figure out what is bothering me. What am I feeling? What's going on for me? And then we communicate that to others. Right? A loving relationship in adulthood is two people who figure themselves out and then come together to work together to find solutions and find ways of life and support and working through stuff together that works for both of us. But it's not your partner or your friends or your coworker's job to figure out what's bothering you. It's your job to figure out what's bothering you, right? It's not to say you're supposed to be totally independent. There are going to be times where you're interacting with your partner and you're going to say, my needs are, I need to be held. But it's not his job or their job to figure that out for you. It's your job to figure that out for you and then to ask for it. You see? So it's not that you're supposed to learn how to hug yourself all the time. You're still allowed to say, hey, I would really, really like it if you held me once or twice a day. That would feel really, really good for me. But it's your job to figure that out. It's not their job to figure that out. You see, that's what being an adult is. So how can I live myself in any case I can find my path? Yeah, okay. So maybe I don't want to see what is really I am doing. Stop closing eyes to see with own ones. Yeah, sometimes. I am treating myself by myself only. Okay, I don't know what you're trying to say. Sorry, I don't understand those comments. So that is adult love. That is adult reality. And that, again, is a big part of how we shift our self-esteem. Because when we start to become aware of our own needs, when we start to see that I can ask for the things that I want and the things that I need, I have the power to shift situations that are not working for me to make them work for me. Again, all of a sudden, I don't need low self-esteem to keep me in alignment with what I think my mommy would love, so she will understand why I'm in pain and she will fix it for me. That's why we're doing it. That's where low self-esteem comes from. Right? Low self-esteem is, I am in pain. I don't know why. I don't know how to fix it. The only solution I have is caregivers understanding me, caregivers figuring it out for me, and caregivers fixing it for me. So if I am in pain, it means they are not paying attention to me. They are not loving me. They are not fixing it for me. Which must mean I'm doing something wrong to make them not take care of me. That's why we hate ourselves. Do you understand? I hate myself because I am in pain and no one is coming to rescue me. And not being rescued in our childhood, to us, the only power we had was, I must be doing something to make it so that mommy and daddy are not helping me. So what do I need to do to fix myself so that they will see me and then meet my needs. That's what low self-esteem is. Okay, so wow. So it's shifting from feeling powerless to being present to being empowered. And from there, self-regulating to co-regulating. Yes. It's about you understanding why you are in pain. You figuring out what you need so that you can shift that pain. And then you working with the people in your lives and the circumstances of your life to make yourself feel better by working together and shifting things. And then all of a sudden, you don't have to be constantly monitoring your behavior because you can see with your own experience that it's not getting approval that makes my pain go away. It's figuring out why my pain is there and what to do about it that makes my pain go away. And then you don't need the coping mechanism of poor self-esteem to keep you safe anymore. Do you see? This is why just trying to tell ourselves, oh, I love this about me, doesn't work. Because if there's still that fundamental, yeah, but I'm in pain and no one's meeting my need, you're just going to keep hating it. You're going to keep scapegoating that part about yourself. Okay, so I am feeling physical pain in my body and I want to take care about it. Right. So the solution in adult reality is, what's going on? What do I need? How do I support my body? Right? Not, how do I figure out how to be what the people around me want me to be so that they will love me? And they will figure out what's wrong with my body. And they will fix me. Okay, so a big part of what helped me totally change my view of myself was having to be really independent for a while. Learning to solve my own problems. Going out on my own. Moving out. Living my own life. Fully being rejected by my caregivers. Fully being rejected by society, right? Like I put myself out there on the internet and get tons of trolly, hatey comments all the time. Right? And it could have shut me down. But the thing was that I just kept going. And I kept doing it because on some level it felt right to me. Right? So learning how to feel the difference between something that feels good because it's actually supportive for you, even though it might go against your conditioning, even though it might go against what you were trained you were supposed to be, even though it might literally mean you become your own worst nightmare. But you see that doing it feels good. It feels right. And following that, even though there's negative consequences of being rejected. So how to feel deeper connection with action and body. Yeah, right? That's what this work is. Is it aligned with heart? There's that, right? If that is something that works for you. And there's also just the easier one of, in real reality, what happens? When I do this thing, okay, yeah, I get rejected. Caregivers think I'm stupid. Other people, whatever. That happens. But what else happens? Does it work better than what I was doing before? Like, that kind of has to be we can ground into that. Like, what are the actual results? When I eat this different way, everyone judges me, sure. But how does it feel in my actual body? Right? Like, I remember sitting across the table from my grandfather, who was like my one secure connection that I ever had. He was the one person that loved me. And I remember sitting across the table from him when I had gotten into all this veganism stuff. And he was like, this is not good, right? Like, this is not okay. You can't do this. And it was like one of the hardest things I think I've ever experienced was losing his love and losing his approval. Like, it was like all of a sudden he was seeing me different. He wasn't validating me. He wasn't approving of me. And I think, right, like, it was literally one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life to be like, oh my God, right? Like, I have to keep doing this thing. And that means I'm going to lose his approval. I have to keep doing this thing because it's, in real reality, what's actually happening is I'm feeling better. It's working. Eating the diet he was comfortable with and that he approved of was killing me. And in that moment, right, it was like soul crushing to face, like, oh my God, I lost my one person who didn't think I was a piece of shit. I lost the one person who just thought I was good and that it was gone. And it was horrible, and it felt horrible, and it was scary, right? And it was heart-wrenching, and I cried a lot. But there was also a huge shift in my self-esteem at that moment, when I realized, okay, but this is meeting my needs, right? It's not hurting anyone else. It's not harming anyone. I'm not doing anything other than making other people at the table uncomfortable. And I feel like in that moment, I was able to just be like, okay, I think I can do this, right? Like, I can be myself now. I lost the one thing that I thought I had. And although it sucks, it's okay. It's okay. I'm getting better. And really, right, like, at the end of the day, it was like, he thought my diet was weird. But he still loved me. Like, it didn't ruin everything. And even being able to see that, right? Like, okay, he does disapprove of me. He really, really actually does think this is bad. I fully lost his support in this area. And I'm okay. And he still loves me in other ways, right? There is no perfect love. And that's okay. And from then on, I was able to pretty much face, I think, any other kind of rejection. Because I had kind of faced my worst fear of losing the one thing I had. And I was like, okay, that sucks. But I'm going to keep doing it because I need to. Right? So there was the reality of, yeah, but Grandpa, this works. You might not understand, and you might not approve, and you might not think it's okay, and I lost your love. But me continuing to do this makes me feel better in my life. If I were to stop doing this so that you would keep loving me, now the whole point of the self-hate is working backwards. You see? If I were to have said, okay, I'm going to change myself now. I'm going to stop doing this thing that's working so that he will love me. That goes against the whole point of me trying to get him to love me. Because me trying to get him to love me was so that he would understand my pain and take it away. But him loving me didn't take away my digestive pain. Eating this vegan diet did. You see? So I learned in that moment, it was not his love that was saving me. It was not being his little angel and the girl he thought I was that was getting my needs met. Now in adulthood, me meeting my needs was getting my needs met. And he could disapprove of me all he wanted, but he didn't make my stomach aches come back by disapproving of me. But eating a diet that he would have approved of would have made my stomach aches come back. So then all of a sudden I stop hating this part of myself. Because it's like, oh, being what he wants me to be isn't the answer. Doing what I need to do for myself is the answer. His love was no longer the thing that got my needs met. And if doing what would make him love me required that I didn't get my needs met, now I'm in pain. So now the whole coping mechanism is working backwards. And that's what we have to realize is happening in our adulthoods. The more we hate ourselves to be what other people want us to be, the less we are focusing on where our actual pain is coming from. Because again, the thing that triggers self-hate, is pain we don't understand. Pay attention. The thing that triggers self-hate, what is wrong with me, is pain we don't understand. So then the automatic childhood coping mechanism is, who do I need to be so that caregivers will love me, so they will figure out why I'm in pain, and they will fix it. That's why self-hate happens. Do you understand? Because in childhood, we could not solve our own problems. We could not figure out why we were in pain and how to make the pain go away. We only knew caregivers have to love me so they will understand me and they will take my pain away. So when we are in pain as adults, the coping mechanism is fix this, change my body, change my personality. What did I do wrong? How am I failing? And that's the broken perception. What we really need to do when we are in low self-esteem, the first question we ask ourselves is, where am I in pain? What's hurting? That's what's actually happening. Shame, blame, and guilt are always lies. What's wrong with me is always a lie. I'm not good enough is a lie. I need to change my body. I need to change my personality. I'm not good enough. The thing that keeps us out of it is, where am I hurting? What am I actually feeling? Do you understand? This is what's going on. Whoa. Something hurts. And now I'm looking for somebody to love and approve of me so that they will figure out why I'm in pain and they will take my pain away. That's why I'm rejecting myself. So how do we change our low self-esteem? You don't try to say, when I hate my thighs, I just need to learn to love my thighs. We go, oh, I hate my thighs. What's hurting? Where am I hurting? Where am I afraid that if I get rejected, I can't have my needs met? I'm not going to be safe. I'm not going to be okay. That's the question we need to start to ask ourselves. Okay, it was your commitment to being your authentic self that got your needs met and also communicating your choices through either actions or words. Yep. So when your voices of low self-esteem come up, the new question you are going to ask yourself is, where am I feeling pain? Or where am I feeling like if I get rejected, I can't get my needs met? That's the new solution. When I am feeling self-rejection, where am I in pain? Where do I have a need that I'm not aware of and that I don't know how to ask for right now? Where do I have an emotion? That I don't know how to express? Where do I have a feeling? Can I replace hate on seeing new? Yes. So the new thing is, when I hate myself, where am I feeling pain? What do I need that I don't know how to get in any other way than through other people approving of me? Where am I afraid I'm going to be rejected and then lose connection or whatever it is? What do I need that I'm not getting? What am I getting that I don't want and I don't know how to get rid of? That is what we want to start to ask ourselves when we are feeling low self-esteem, because that's the adult solution. Where am I feeling pain? Where do I feel I may be rejected? And what do I think is going to happen if I get rejected, right? What needs do I feel like are not going to be met if I get rejected? That's the deeper question. And then how can I start to ask for these things consciously? How can I start to grieve where I really can't get my needs met, where people are failing me, right? A lot of my clients, the work that we do is, yeah, you had needs in your childhood that you didn't get met, and you had to blame yourself instead of being allowed to be upset about how you didn't get your needs met. And that's where we need to start. We need to grieve the things we didn't get. We need to grieve the things we got that hurt. So maybe it's only overreaction or hard emotional reaction of not knowing. And that's exactly what it is. Our reaction to not knowing why we're in pain, or our reaction to the fear that we're going to be rejected and then what we need is going to go away, triggers self-hate. Does this make sense? So the solution is not to try to convince yourself to like yourself. Because that's not what's really going on. You're not hating yourself just because you need to shift into liking yourself. You hate yourself as a self-protective mechanism. Okay? We don't shift out of self-hate until we learn how to meet our own needs. That's the antidote. Because that's the root. The root of self-hate is I'm not going to get my needs met. So who do I need to be so that the people around me will love me, understand me, and meet my needs for me? That's the root of self-hate. If I am my real self, I'm going to be rejected, and then I won't be loved, and then my pain won't get taken away. I won't be safe. I won't get the connection that I want and that I need. So in our adulthoods, we have to prove to ourselves that that is not the case anymore. By learning how to say, okay, no, I don't actually hate myself. I'm in pain somewhere. I'm hurting. What's actually going on? What do I need? What am I afraid I'm going to lose? Where do I need to communicate a no? Where do I need to communicate a yes? Where do I need to go off on my own? Where do I need to ask for support instead of waiting for someone to figure it out for me? This is how we heal low self-esteem. Because when we start to understand how to get our needs met, we no longer need the coping mechanism of low self-esteem. We replace it with something better, actually knowing how to support ourselves. You see? It's not so straightforward. It's not just change your thoughts about yourself. So long as you don't know how to meet your own needs, you're always going to hate yourself. So long as you don't know how to identify what you're actually feeling, how to process your emotions, how to say no, how to ask for the things you need. Yeah? You're going to keep hating yourself. Because that's going to be the only way you know to get those things. You hate yourself because you need something. You hate yourself because you're in pain. You hate yourself because you're afraid that if you're not loved, you won't be safe. That's why this takes so long. Because figuring out what we're actually feeling and what we're actually wanting and grieving the things that we didn't get, and it's a long process. It's a big process. There isn't a one-step solution. There's going to be many things that come up. Every time you hate yourself, there will be something new. So we can't just assume, oh, okay, this is what it was last time. Last time when I hated myself, it was really that I needed to communicate that I needed a hug, so I need a hug this time. Well, that might not be what it is this time. I am angry when I think this emotion doesn't exist in my body, but all other people have it. Okay? So when you hate yourself, the new prompt is, what am I actually feeling? Am I afraid? Do I have a need? Am I in pain? What's going on for me? That's the antidote to self-hate. Self-understanding, getting our needs met in real life, and seeing that being approved of by other people so that they will figure it out for us is no longer the solution. When we get there, we will stop hating ourselves. You don't have to try to not need a coping mechanism when you have something better. When you replace your coping mechanism with something that meets your needs better, you don't struggle with going for the old coping mechanism anymore because it works not as good. It's literally that straightforward. Okay? Does that make sense? Do we have any questions, comments, concerns before we end today? When you are hating yourself, the real question is, what do I need? Where am I hurting? What am I afraid I'm going to lose if someone doesn't like me? Where do I need to grieve what I didn't get? Where do I need to grieve what I got that I didn't like? How do I support myself? I'm ready to make real 1,000 steps to find one solution. Just take this one step. When you're hating yourself, what do you need? What are you really feeling? Shame, blame, and guilt are always lies. You don't need to fix yourself, right? When you react the way you react, you say, how is this meeting my needs? How is this helping me? That's what we do in coaching, over and over and over and over again. I help people come out of, oh, I did my bad thing again, to, okay, why? What did you need? What did you want? What was hurting? What emotion did you not know how to express? Okay? Okay. That's what we're doing. The what is wrong with me paradigm is the childhood coping mechanism. We are never going to get anywhere using that. It doesn't work because it's completely dissociated from reality. Okay? Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that gave you some steps to take. Come join the mystery school. Interact with all the other free content. One-on-one coaching, whatever you feel that you want or whatever you need. Hopefully there's something at every price point. Use this with other work that you're doing, with all your other spirituality and all your other self-help. Just make sure you're framing all that stuff through the lens of, what do I need to feel supported? Not how do I fix what's wrong with me? Okay? You can go through any kind of spirituality or any other teachers with that lens, and it will be very helpful. You can go to any other spirituality, self-help, personal growth with the lens of how do I fix myself, and it won't be helpful. It'll just be a spiral of never-ending bleh. Okay? Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presence. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you next week. All right? Good night. Good day. Good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Bye.